Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Ralfs. I'm a business development specialist at Magebit, and today I'll be talking about the ins and outs on planning an e-commerce search engine optimization strategy for your website. So during this webinar, you should be able to understand the general idea, how to compete for the top search result positions, and how to foster positive search results for your SEO. Before we start, here's a quick tutorial on how to ask questions during the webinar. So click the bottom right icon. It should open a tab called Activities, where you can go to the Q&A section, and there you can submit your questions anytime during the webinar. So I'll answer these questions after the main part is over. So after the webinar, we're going to have a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions or anything on your mind, let me know. I'll go through them, and yeah, so thank you for that. Cool. So SEO, as I like to say, is a race to get your position, and once you are the leader, it's the race to keep your position. In this case of search engines, it's truly a never-ending race. So you can reach the top position in the first place, second place, or third place, but then it's just a matter of maintaining that position, which requires a lot of upkeep, to be honest. And that means keeping up to date with standards, different algorithm changes, and other updates that you didn't even know of and didn't even predict. So it's a lot about just keeping up with trends and keeping up with Google's documentation. So just as I mentioned, standards always change. Just like in the automotive racing industry, where there are certain standards that drivers have to follow and certain certifications are required, the same goes for Google and other search engines. So let's say Google is like the race organizer in this case, and they make the rules. If you wish to participate, you have to follow those. And gotta follow those updates. So because algorithms happen every other month, and that might sound scary, but in reality, the core principles usually stay the same. All right, so you know what the race is, but what now? Well, obviously, if you haven't yet, it's time to get your race car, or in this case, your website. If this step is already done, well, I still have my doubts that you might be underqualified to compete in this race. And, you know, it's quite hard to compete with an average car. Sure, it might work, but if you want people to be coming to your site more often, you have to stand out and have all the technical requirements in place. Just like there are different types of cars like SUVs, limos, coupes, sports cars, etc. There are different types of websites, and each of these website types have their own purpose. It's the target audience and location of interest that matter as well. So we split these into 3 groups, and you can define that by what type of website you have, by the location of your business, and by the audience demographics that you want to target. So let's start with the first type, which is your business type, or what kind of website you're working with. So there are a few key differences in these website types. I've outlined 3 of those, and these ones we work most with and the most often with. So the first one would be a single product-focused website, which usually focuses on services or just one product, as the name implies. SEO-wise, we focus on creating in-depth keyword combinations for these types of sites. Whereas for multi-product focused sites, which are usually general stores or let's say a brand outlet which sells items with a similar theme, like ASOS, for example, they're all about clothing, as you know. In this case, we'd probably target category-specific keywords and outline a group of items rather than just one single product. And finally, the no product focus group, which is aimed towards informational pages like blogs, news sites, or social media, where SEO-wise, you would like to focus on creating engaging content and making sure that your site is obviously seen. Okay, moving on. The understanding your location type. First off, this is really important because obviously, if you're based in, let's say, Italy, you wouldn't want to be not aiming for Italy. You want, it all depends on your niche, but definitely you have to define this first. So let's say you're a small bakery located in Italy. You would probably want to target your local city. In this case, it would be a local type business. If you want to go larger or target the whole country, or let's say a state, that would define your website as a national or a regional website, which would target a specific area which is larger than a small location. And if that still doesn't suit you, there is the international website, which is usually aimed for multiple countries or even worldwide. So after you understand your location type and your business type, it's worth to understand who your buyer persona is. This is a common question in marketing, and obviously you wouldn't know anything without it. So understanding who is the person who's actually looking at your site is the key thing that matters to you in this case. And to define who that is, you have to ask the good old questions about what is their age, what is their gender, their average income, and interests and goals. By defining these and understanding your buyer persona, you can then start to target your SEO. Awesome, cool. You know your business. So, but do you have the engine that is required to run it? Well, the tech SEO in this case is the core of your site, which is gonna get you far if you have it optimized. But if you don't have an engine, you're probably not gonna go anywhere far. And speaking of engines, this engine has around 4 main components, which are like the pillars for your site's potential to rank in a search results page. These include having a clear website hierarchy and clear website tags. They should be on point and defined so users know which content is where and why is it there. So it's easier for them to navigate, and so they suddenly don't get lost in a block of text. And they should be able to find their way back where they came from as well. So the second pillar would be website speed, which is like the indicator of how fast your site is going to load, so users don't bounce or run away from your pages because they don't load fast enough. The third pillar is being mobile friendly, which is a core requirement nowadays in the year of 2023 as of now. Google has already moved to mobile first and tracks your results based on mobile over desktop. So keep in mind. And finally, the last pillar would be allowing your pages to be indexed, followed, and generally inspected by web crawlers. That's one of the necessities to actually have your page ranked. Otherwise, Google or other search engines don't even know or understand if your website is compliant. And they have no other way of seeing that if you have those settings disabled on your website. Awesome. So once you have an understanding of those pillars, it's a matter of working with tools that are at your disposal. Obviously, you can be the first in the competition that has no end with the right tools. So to ease this process, you should engage with tools like Google's free tools that prepare the base requirements and see basic analytics for your site. Or use other tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, or Screaming Frog, etc. That I've added in, or other tools that I've added into the slide that provide in-depth analytics for your site. You can dive deeper into understanding how or what is working on your SEO wise and see where your SEO has limits. Otherwise, don't forget that there always is the human aspect. Even though there are so many tools that do these things for you, in the end, not all tools can do everything. So there's always a human that has to implement these and do the changes and fixes that the tools can't. So in the end, it all comes back to the human. So cool. If you got your tech SEO all set up, it's finally time to race. So, but before racing, there's always going to be rules. So the general rules for participating in the big SEO race are as follows. So you got to keep your keywords researched because they're always changing. There's always trends that are happening. And keeping your website structured at all times makes it easier for your customers and potentially new people to understand what your site is about, and Google when it crawls your site. You got to do your competition analysis all the time. Obviously, it's a pretty straightforward one, but knowing what your competitor is doing might give you a competitive advantage, because not everyone is going to do competition analysis, and some are just focusing on themselves. So see what they do good. Maybe you can do better. Next step is build your SEO content plan. This is a big one, which I'm going to touch upon a bit later. And last but not least, nurture relationships with your industry leaders and build your backlinks, because that's how you get recognition in the world of SEO. So you may be asking, is there a finish line for your SEO? The short answer, no, not really, because SEO is a never-ending race to be the best, as I already mentioned. There's always ever-changing trends, and it's just a popularity contest, to be honest. But there are ways how you can get that first place. Keywords are the fuel for this, and you got to keep pumping your fuel. So you got to find your main keywords and keep on adding more niche-specific phrases and other words that might be like additives to your keywords. Let's say you can add short tail and long tail keywords and make it a completely new word. So keep that in mind, and you'll do good. But to put it in perspective, the first organic result in a search results page gives around 28% better click-through rate rather than the 10th spot in a search engine results page. That's because they found great keywords with low competition. And there's, I can explain how that works. You have to understand how users search. And there's some logic behind that, behind the user's search term, what we call it evolution. So obviously, the user is going to start to search their query without knowing what they're looking for, evolving their search over time until they're at a very precise search term. So if per se, I'm going to be looking for a laptop, I'll be looking for a very large generic term to understand what laptops are available on the market. Once a user gets the general idea, they add additional phrases and terms, narrowing the search term down. In this case, it would be a best gaming laptop. And the issue is that more generic terms have a very high search volume, and is usually these kind of keywords are usually very hard to rank, as there are almost always seasoned players who have had their website up for years, and Google has already recognized its authority. So you can compete, but it's going to be a tough way. On the other hand, when we're talking about location-based search queries, people would usually look for the closest service around them. So let's look at an example. If a user wants to buy a laptop and he's located in the city of Riga, he will probably start his search there by looking for where to buy a laptop in Riga. And afterwards, pretty much expand on that. He's not going to narrow it down. He's going to make it more, wider. So if he can't find his search term in his specific location, he's going to go probably national, which is going to be where to buy a laptop in Latvia, which is the country. And if that doesn't suit him, the next term would be even a broader location, which then be Europe. So it's worth to take into consideration the location where you're targeting your site and understanding how users look for things. So knowing both of these, we can create interesting word combinations that take into account both the user's location and already niche-specific keywords. So our main keyword in this case would be a transactional one, which is buy Dell gaming laptops. But to narrow it even further, we added a location. So in this case, it gives the user an idea where you're selling or where you're providing your services for your website. So our final result for the keyword would be buy Dell gaming laptops in Riga, which combines both of those search queries. Keep in mind that these are really useful ways to combine keywords and combine different words to make completely new search phrases. But I already mentioned just now the word transactional keyword. Well, there are two ways how Google has divided search intent. And it's between informational keywords and transactional keywords. And Google has put a lot of effort into these search queries used in search. So if you want to rank in Google, you must make sure your pages satisfy the search intent behind the keywords that users are targeting. So I'll explain a bit more about informational keywords in this slide, where let's say the user wants to learn about something. These searches are often phrased as questions and use words like what, where can I buy this, who can I talk to, how can I do this, etc. So the main phrases they use are the question, the words that ask questions would be who, what, where, why, and how. And obviously, these are gonna give you still you're gonna have to create blog posts about information where to get certain things. So that's why blogging is likely still going to be a big part of your SEO strategy. And the top benefits of actually targeting informational keywords would be to probably increase visibility, because informational queries make up a significant number of searches in Google. And if you want visibility, you just cannot ignore them. Another one would be building trust and targeting new leads, because content that targets informational keywords can bring in new potential leads you can convert later. And although ranking for informational queries probably won't bring you tons of direct conversions, it can still be a valuable opportunity to grow your business. And whereas transactional keywords, they are meant for when users want to do something specific, for example, do a transaction, or want to, let's say, it isn't just restricted to purchases. It can be anything. Let's say they want to sign up to a newsletter or potentially download some sort of software. So transactional keywords are your money makers. These are the keywords your future customers use when they're ready to convert. And so think of some keywords you want to rank for. So try Googling those, see if they're transactional or if they're informative, and maybe you can think of ways you haven't thought before. Maybe you're doing something wrong. So maybe you're ranking for an informational keyword rather than transactional keyword, and you might want to do the opposite. So have a look at that, analyze what you're ranking for, and just do some research, and maybe this is going to give you a new perspective on how you look at things. Okay, moving on. So then another important aspect is search volume. So to understand what even search volume is, you need to find a sweet spot between a high ranking keyword that doesn't have a lot of competition. So your main goal here would be to get a keyword that has good traffic but small competition, which is going to be your bread and butter in this case. So if it's getting lots of searches, and it means people are looking for it, so you should use this to your advantage and build around words like these. And to find keywords like these, or to achieve anything remotely close, you should understand what people are looking for in your niche. That's where a tool like Google Trends comes to play. Like in racing, there's usually a second person who helps with navigating. He provides information about speed, acceleration, next turns, and performance. For web users, this is going to be Google Trends. It's going to reveal the acceleration of interest and popularity of search terms over time. Sure, this is a really nice tool to use if you don't plan on spending any money, because it's a free tool, anyone can use it, and it provides a decent insight into potential words and trends that you didn't even think of. So use it for thinking of a content strategy. You can use Google Trends to optimize the strategy by, let's say, finding trending topics. Let's say you can see that, let's say, Barcelona versus Manchester City has been recently trending. Maybe think of something, maybe your content might be overlapping or relevant to it. Maybe you can make an informational post on it and gain traction to your site. So next one is that you could identify seasonal trends. Maybe just by searching for a certain keyword in Google Trends, you can identify when this keyword gets popular. in the picture I've added is flowers for Valentine's Day. Obviously, you would think it's Valentine's Day, but you can see that there are some spikes before Valentine's Day and in between. So keep this in mind, and maybe you can find some interesting capabilities for these trends as well. And last but not least, you can find related queries. So if you're looking for car engines, in this case, it's going to recommend similar keyword phrases that are relevant to your original keyword. So in this case, it's going to be a Kia engine class settlement or Toyota hydrogen engine. So similar to what I said just a second ago, maybe you can make an informational blog post on these. Maybe your content is actually relevant, and maybe you can talk about, let's say, a Kia engine if your website is focusing on engines. Make it informational and let the user guide the user through a journey of different pages and information that they didn't even know that they're looking for. But pretty much you can then, I guess, indicate just by looking at Google Trends, you can indicate what keywords are popular between a certain time frame, and you can see when something is going to be popular and when it has been popular beforehand as well. So use these tips and tricks to your advantage if you can, because this is definitely what we do on a regular basis. But if you can't be original or just want to take the semi-easy route to see what works for your competition, then do so. I mean, everyone has their own approach, and I highly suggest that you look at your competition, analyze what they do good, analyze what they don't. Try to make it better. And yeah, so just looking at your competitor keywords and doing research, it's pretty much a process for investigating the keywords your competitors are currently ranking for and what they're targeting for in their search engine results pages. From here, you'll first need to find out which keywords or key phrases have worked well for your competitors so far. And then you can go and look around just by looking for their site, see what other keywords they're targeting, and maybe some of their keywords are informational where they should have been actually transactional. So work on their failures and build a better presence for yourself. But keep in mind, when talking about content, Google loves when it's updated consistently. They see that you exist, that your site is actually actively being used, and we like to provide, like you should actually provide consistent updates, and consistency here is actually the key to victory, because if it can be a weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly schedule, but keeping a schedule is a must because Google rewards consistency. So if you have one blog a month, let's say, that's fine, but if you post 3 to 4 times a month, that's amazing. But just keep in mind that you have to keep the consistency and make sure that you keep the consistency, because if once you stop, Google is going to think, okay, something's off. Why did he stop? So it's much easier, obviously, to manage one blog post a month rather than going 3 to 4 or even more than that. But the more you do it and the more consistent you are, the better results you probably will achieve. So the next thing that I wanted to touch upon is backlinks. Backlinks is an interesting topic because it's pretty much word of mouth marketing for the web. So in short, it's a popularity contest. So imagine you transfer schools. If you become friends with, let's say, 100 unpopular friends, they give almost no value to your reputation in the long run. Whereas befriending one popular friend gives great authority and popularity. So think of it this way. So a bad backlink is going to give you bad reputation in the eyes of Google. So if you befriend someone whose reputation or authority is lower than yours, he's going to bring you down. Whereas if you, let's say, partner up with Forbes or other popular sites with high traffic, with good reputation, then they're going to acknowledge your site and talk about it and share links to it. In Google's eyes, you're going to be you're gonna be like a good website, and they're gonna automatically increase your authority score because they see that you have befriended or made a relationship with a high value site. Therefore, they're gonna increase your authority score and going to rank you higher in the SEO search results page, in the search results page. Yeah. So how do we befriend the popular kids? Well, it's pretty simple, honestly. You got to partner up with real people. Imagine that. There's no bots involved, because bots generate bad backlinks. So it's like making a real relationship by offering free products or other services in exchange for a blog post or a referral. You can get a backlink. It's literally just like building and cultivating real relationships. So work with people in your industry and grow together. So you could cultivate the relationships with known brands. Use directory sites like TripAdvisor, Yelp, and G2, for example, and other niche-specific forums is a good way. But these are not the only ways. There are different methods for this, but these are the top ones I can mention off the top of my head. So with everything set up, it's honestly a race to actually maintain your position and keep being at the top, because once you've reached the top and once you got to those top 3, 4, 5, 6 results, you got to put in some work to actually maintain those. Before I let you go racing on your own, there are still a couple of road bumps and potholes you should be careful about. Keep consistency. Don't switch your main keywords all the time, because let's say if you're selling dog food, don't suddenly switch to car parts as your main keyword, as this will make Google confused, and Google doesn't like inconsistency, as I already mentioned. And when creating content, make sure you have correct and metadata in place, because a lot of people disregard this. And same goes with tags, because you want to have a structure in place for your website, and if you don't have that, Google's just not going to understand what are you trying to portray to the users. And when creating this content or translating it into multiple languages, and let's say just multiple languages, it gives a lot of room for error. So one of the main issues that might be is that it causes duplicate content, it causes incorrect translations, or even missing translations in some cases, and broken URL structure. That means that you might go to a store and it suddenly does not have a page because it didn't translate correctly. Finally, you should make sure to prioritize mobile first, as I mentioned at the start of the webinar, because Google nowadays is mainly looking at your mobile responsiveness. But of course, don't forget the desktop view, because obviously it's still important. But doing any ranking or any lighthouse tests where you can check for how strong your SEO is, Google is always going to value mobile first. So make sure that is optimized and well built. So in short, we're slowly reaching towards the end of the webinar. So I'm going to leave you with some of the key takeaways that I wanted to gift you in this. So SEO is like a never-ending process where tech SEO is the core of your engine, and it's going to give the power to rank in search engines. If you want to be the best in here, you got to use SEO tools to your advantage to actually polish and track your website's performance, do data analysis, and just see what users like and what users don't. Same goes for competitor research. As in any niche or any field of work or industry, you have to understand what is going on, because if you don't know your partners, your competitors, you're gonna miss out on a lot of valuable things, because trends change and people change and the industry change. So keep up with everyone and see what people are doing good, and what's working for them and what's not. Same goes for developing a content strategy. That includes blog posts, guides, videos, and other content that is going to enhance your website's authority. Because creating blog posts and just informational posts is gonna drive traffic to your site. Whether it's intentional or not, people might land on it and see that you exist, and might even find something interesting that you're going to be portraying. Then finally, the big importance I'd like to outline is that you have to build high quality backlinks from those authoritative websites, because building relationships with industry leaders just not only brings contacts and networking opportunities. In Google's eyes, it's wonderful. That's all you need, because Google sees authority and it values that respectable sites talk with other respectable sites. So watch out for bots and talk with industry leaders. And last but not least, learn from others' mistakes and be better. Try to be better. So at Magebit, all of the things I've mentioned during this webinar, we do, and we have crafted a solid approach to actually doing search engine optimization for our clients. So we offer full SEO audits and keyword research that goes in depth to different types of keywords and different types of trends, etc. So we aim to actually craft a long-term and a short-term strategy for you and our clients, because it's really important to have that in place. Whether you're aiming to just boost website visibility or actually increase conversions, both of those are really important, and having a fine-tuned and fine-crafted strategy in place is going to probably change a lot when it comes to how Google sees you. But the first step we actually do before we do any keyword research or strategy creation is ensure that your tech SEO is set up correctly, because that's usually the cornerstone of success. If the tech SEO is working, the ladder of creating a keyword research and a strategy is just a smaller bit, because it's important to make sure that Google sees you and that it sees your website structure. So having that in place is awesome. So we ensure that, and we make sure that we keep monitoring the tech SEO setup as well. See if, let's say, you create a new page or create any new content, we ensure that it's technically sound and suited for any upcoming content or any other changes. So we are working with different tools and with different like paid platforms that give us in-depth analytics and ensure that a website is actually up to date and up to standard. Obviously, once the tech SEO is sound and tech SEO is working, our next step is consistent content creation. We offer copywriting and we offer SEO services as well. So we do, after doing the in-depth research and understanding what keywords you're working with, what niche specific trends are we looking at, we offer different packages of how often we could recommend a website to do posts. So we usually do 2 to 3 content pieces per month, but it actually depends on niche to niche. So that's one of our specifics. And obviously, we're going to continue building high-value backlink building, because as I already outlined in this webinar a few times, that we love our backlinks and we love our partnerships. So having a great backlink strategy, we can do all of that, and we'll do all the heavy lifting while you focus on your core business requirements, and while we bring your website to the correct audience. So I hope you guys have learned core principles on SEO strategy today, because if you're interested in how we at Magebit can help you rank higher, and just feel free to send me an email at the email on the screen, or visit magebit.com for more information. Thank you for joining. If you have any other questions or anything, this is the time to ask them. Here's a quick reminder how. I'll show the GIF on screen once more. So if you guys have questions right now, this is the time. You have to go to the bottom right corner, click on activities, and there's going to be a Q&A section where you press on that, and there's going to be quite a bit of there's going to be a field where you can enter any questions. Yeah, so I see that there are a few questions already, so I'll start answering those. So pretty much let's see, what are the most recent changes in SEO and what's going to change in the near future? This is a very common question, and it's pretty popular, and I guess among anyone who's worrying in the age of AI and tech advancements. Well, SEO has definitely undergone several different changes in the past years, as you already saw in one of the slides that I showed, and it's still going to shift towards a more user-centric approach with search engines placing a greater emphasis on the user experience and user intent and just overall relevant content for the user. Additionally, I guess mobile optimization is, as I mentioned, very big right now. And moving on, integration of AI and machine learning is become like a pretty important aspect in SEO. But we can definitely expect a lot of other advancements in these areas, but along with potential updates for search engine algorithms. But really, we can't predict the future. I mean, what I can say is regarding AI is that we live in a very interesting time, because AI is helping people create content, but and there's so much content that is being generated all the time. It's hard to even differ which is written from a human, which is not. So it's important to understand which tools you can use for your in your advance and which tools you shouldn't. So keep up. Just my suggestion here is probably keep up with trends and just follow what's going on in the tech world, because tech advances with SEO, and Google loves tech, as you know. Okay, next question. How often is recommended to publish new content? Yes, so as I mentioned, new content, there is no magic number or magic trick behind this, because as I mentioned, Google loves consistency. It doesn't matter if you post 1 post or 2 posts or 5 posts per month or per week. It's a matter of consistency, whether you do it, let's say if you're doing 1 post a month, Google wants to see that 1 post a month. So if you skip it, Google is going to ask questions like, where's your post? Why are you not being consistent? Because Google values that consistency. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to say that as I said, there's no magic number, but our recommendation is, I'd say 2 to 4, but it usually does depend on niche specific industries. So that is up to you and up to the team that is behind creating the content. Yes, so third question, can I use GPT to generate content? Yes, I touched upon this topic already, but GPT, yes, you can use, in short, yes, you can use ChatGPT or other language models to generate content for now, because it's kind of a wild, wild west right now. Google doesn't penalize GPT or chat or generated content, but we don't know the future, because maybe you're going to generate that content, publish it on the web. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe Google's going to say, no, sorry, you cannot have this posted. They might decrease your authority score for even having this content alive. So keep in mind, use it. Well, I would use it, but use it carefully, because you never know what's going to be in the future. Don't copy and paste it directly. Use it for inspiration and be original, because Google loves originality as well. Original user-generated content is much more valued than AI-generated content, because there's already a lot of different researches being done and tools that are anti-AI generated content. So be careful on that, but try to use it to your advantage. See what works, what doesn't. Just use the tools strategically. Okay, So next question was, what is a bad backlink? I mentioned already, so pretty much a bad backlink is one that has got bad reputation or a bad authority score. So Google has this imaginary authority score, which you can test by looking at different tools online, and just by judging another website's authority score and seeing if it has a bad authority score, you should not be interacting with it, because they might decrease your authority by having your link on their site. So a bad backlink, in short, it's just a bad referral from a site that is not respected or does not have the authority score Google has portrayed. Next question is, how can you measure the effectiveness of an SEO strategy? Are there any KPIs we should be tracking? So regarding effectiveness, so I'd say the key KPI you should be tracking is overall organic traffic, because to your website, because seeing what works and how people are clicking on your site from different search engines just gives a lot of value, because then you can see what trends are popular, what time they're coming into your site, what growth patterns, let's say, you have. These are all pretty important factors, but the most important one for sure is organic traffic and how it's getting to your site. And obviously that correlates with keywords and keyword performance, because tracking what keywords you use and how often they're being clicked on, what regions they're being clicked on, etc. Just tracking keyword performance goes hand in hand with organic traffic. So keep those two factors in mind, and you're going to have a very good. You can do a pretty good analysis on your SEO strategy. Same thing goes for average visit per single session. So if a user comes from a link on Google and he is on your site for a pretty long time or a high value, it's just that users find your content engaging and are exploring your website even further. So Google respects that and gives you a good authority score. So that's another KPI that you should probably be tracking. The next question then is, do I have to use SEO tools to get a good ranking? In short, no, you probably don't. You can do it on your own, but the tricky part comes when the tech SEO. Not everyone can do tech SEO, because that usually is a developer's requirement. Sure, there usually is an admin panel for your website where you can do basic content creation and create like blog posts, etc. But when it comes to actually using the tools at your service, you won't be able to use them as efficiently as you might think. Sure, after this webinar, you might know a thing or two about tools and SEO itself, but there's definitely a lot to learn, because those tools provide valuable insights and different data that knowing how to use correctly can bring a lot of input. So in short, my final answer here is yes, you can use them, and it's definitely, they will help to get a good ranking, but you would have to definitely do some research beforehand. So how soon can you get positive ROI out of SEO when starting from zero? This is a really good question, because it's not a one-day question. It's not a one-day thing or not a one-week thing. It usually, if you start a website from zero, Google doesn't even know you exist. So it's a matter of actually generating positive and user content that people visit. So I don't have a concrete answer on this, because there is no magic number on this as well. But starting from zero is always a challenge, because you would have to generate organic traffic and have to compete with other already probably established competitors within your niche. is going to be a big challenge for you. So it might take months, might take years. There's no concrete answer to this. So, but it's a matter of creating the content, engaging with your users, and doing it correctly is what matters, and having it done correctly in Google's eyes. So that might be the answer. Yeah, can I do SEO if I don't know how? I think it was a similar question to if you have to use SEO tools to get good ranking. Yes, you can do SEO if you don't know how. But it goes back to the technical part. So sure, you can create content, you create blogs, but will you be able to, let's say, improve your site speed on a, let's say, badly built theme? Or will you be able to correctly create your meta tags and missing translations, etc.? Possibly, but definitely I would leave this to a developer or a specialized team who know their way around things, because having a copywriter who knows the ins and outs of actually creating engaging content and content that people love to read is I think a much better advantage, rather than thinking off the top of your head what might be good. It might even take you much longer doing this alone, or with people who don't have the experience, rather than going to a seasoned team who actually does this on a regular basis and lives and breathes SEO. So technically yes, but should you? I have my doubts here. So if you really want to understand what's going on with your SEO, how your SEO is looking, and what's going on, feel free to schedule a free consultation. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's literally 1 to 2 minutes away to just write an email to us. Hey guys, I'd like to do an SEO audit. Can you guys have a look at my site? What's going on? We can hop on a call real quick and see what we can work with. So just let us know. We're all ears, and yeah, thank you guys for coming once again. And if you have any other questions, reach out to me on email, and I hope you enjoyed your time. Thank you.